evening. The Hanover Area School District Board of Education regular meeting Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 will now come to order. Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Hold on 1 second.
Hold on, Rick.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, Rick.
Mrs. Blake,
Present.
Mr. Holmgren,
Present.
Dr. Kopko,
Here.
Mr. Maley,
Here.
Mr. Mosher,
Here.
Mr. Warwick,
Here.
Ms. Potsko,
Here.
Mr. Reddick,
Here.
Mr. Stevens, here, quorum established.
The Hanover Area School District Executive Session Report. Pursuant to the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, the Board President wishes to announce that at its regular meeting on Tuesday, June 7, 2022, the Board of Education of Hanover Area School District held an executive session to discuss matters of employees' relations, labor negotiation, or actual litigation, and went into a closed or executive session at 5 p.m. and began the public meeting at 6:20 p.m. The subjects discussed in executive session related solely to the matters of employee relations, labor negotiations, threatened or actual litigations. Discussion items to be acted upon at the board meeting, work session. Anyone from the public like to address the board? Agenda items only.
Mike Potsko, Hanover Township. I wanted to ask about a motion that was approved in the financials last month regarding becoming part of the South Valley Regional Recreation Authority. Dr. Kopko, you voted no because you didn't have any supporting documentation. Was it ever discussed about what actually is, pertains to it, or?
Are you asking me, Mr. Potsko?
No, Mr. Maley, the board president, would you be able to tell me when it was discussed and what entails joining that, recreation authority?
I can't talk.
I could step in. Mr. Potsko, the establishment of that authority was a joint financial venture for a recreational park up at Site 7A in the industrial park. This is a joint operating effort with the Earth Conservancy, Hanover Township, possibly Luzerne County, help from the state senator and the district itself for a financial venture to put a recreational area up at Site 7A. The purpose of the authority was to create bylaws and be able to legally segregate everybody's financial obligation to this project.
Okay,
So I was a no vote, Mr. Potsko, and the reason I voted no was twofold. Number one, doing this stuff for a long time, there were no bylaws. So I was not comfortable voting on something to that magnitude without any bylaws. Number two, this school district in the not too distant future is going to need another consolidated building, an elementary center, which is going to require funding and grants. And if we were going to have or assist in funding a recreation center, I'd rather put that money into our own campus, our own fields, put a building up with gymnasium so that kids could practice. We have our pool, I'd rather have it here, and that, I'm just explaining my no vote.
No, I appreciate it, and the whole point is that prior to voting on this, that discussion should have taken place in the public. And there was no discussion at that meeting, and so, per that Sunshine Act, anything that's discussed prior to voting should be done in a public meeting. So I just wanna throw that out there, and in the future, I'd appreciate getting that kind of information prior to the vote, so that I know what's going on with the funds that Canterbury is distributing. Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the board? Okay, approval and acceptance of minutes and reports, regular meeting minutes of May 3rd, 2022, Luzerne Intermediate Unit Board of Directors, regular meeting minutes of April 27th, 2022, and the Wilkes-Barre Area Career and Technical Center Board of Education Joint Operating Committee minutes of May 16th, 2022. Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. White,
Second.
second by Paul Holmgren. All in favor?
Aye.
Superintendent report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to start out by congratulating the graduating class of 2022. We conducted a ceremony last night. 164 graduates walked across the stage, got their diplomas, so I'd like to congratulate them and their families. In addition to that, all academic and athletic award winners, I'd like to commend them as well for their hard work and dedication, either on or off the field or in the classroom or not. Two students of the month I would like to recognize. The May student of the month was Alexandra Sheridan. Congratulations to her and her family for her academic achievements. And another Alexandra is the June student of the month, Alexander Richards. Congratulations to her and her family as well. The summer camps have been offered. We have shared that both on our website and all of our social media accounts. I would encourage families to check those out. They are free of charge to the district. It's camouflage learning for learning loss based on pandemic learning loss over the past several years. We camouflage learning into fun camps that are offered for our students within our community. Everybody in the district is eligible for these programs. You need to register by the 26th of this month to be eligible to participate. Finally, this evening, I would like to thank a citizen, Rick Swoboda, who donated a piano to Hanover Green Elementary School. I appreciate his efforts. He did have a musical instrument and knows that we are moving our performing arts down to the elementary level, and as a result, donated that piano to Hanover Green Elementary. So I'd like to publicly thank him, and that is my report, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to accept superintendent report?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Orvick,
Second.
second by Mr. Marger. All in favor?
Aye.
No general recommendation report. Financial recommendations to approve items 1 through 13. I will read number 13. No tax increase. The state mileage rate is 18.7743. A copy of our final general fund budget will be on display for inspection by the general public in the district office and posted on the district website on June 8th, 2022. I state again, there is no tax increase. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Paul Holmgren.
Second.
Second by Mr. Orvick. Roll call.
Mrs. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. Holmgren?
Yes.
Dr. Kopko?
No on 2, yes on everything else.
Mr. Maley?
Yes.
Mr. Majer?
No on 2 and yes on everything else. Yes.
Ms. Potsko?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, yes.
Okay, personnel, items 1 through 21. We're gonna table number 14. I will read number 19. To appoint Rick Stevens as board treasurer for the term July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Can I have a motion? Motion by Stacy Blythe,
Second.
second by Joyce Potsko. Roll call.
Ms. Blight?
Yes.
Mr. Holmgren?
Yes.
Dr. Kopko?
On number 21, a list of candidates for approval are there. There was an athletic committee meeting, there was a recommendation for additional repost of the job. I don't know why it wasn't, but unfortunately, with regard to 21, it's a yes for everyone except the last entry, and yes on everything else.
Mr. Maley?
Yes.
Mr. Majer?
Yes.
Mr. Warwick?
Yes.
Ms. Potsko?
Yes.
Mr. Reddick?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, yes.
New business? Old business? Public comments on agenda items only?
No.
Oh,
I'll recognize the board.
I'm sorry. Sure.
Proper time. Hi, I'm Terry Dravich. I'm president of the Hanover Area Teachers Association, and I've gone to Hanover School District, and I've worked there for 32 years. I'd like to thank the board for giving the association the opportunity to speak this evening. We're here as a result of an internal survey on the learning environment at Hanover area. We had hoped the school board would have reached out to the association in April or May after they received the results of our survey. We had anticipated a face-to-face meeting with the board to begin building a foundation to effectuate change. We have always had a good relationship with the board. We're a small community. The board knows a lot of our members. The board knows me. Personally, I've been involved with the union for over 20 years. This is the first time I felt the collective voice of this association needs to be heard. Let me start by saying this has been a difficult few years for all of us, including our students. Sadly, the association is hearing that lazy teachers are the problem. I've told my members not to believe these rumors. No one in this administration and no one on this board would refer to their staff as lazy. Over the course of our careers, our teachers have taught virtually, bought out of their own pockets equipment to help them teach virtually, taught virtually and in person at the same time, chaperoned dances, acted as club advisors, coached, attended graduation, including kindergarten and preschool and 6th grade, written letters of recommendation, sat on scholarship committees, donated money to scholarships for our students, fundraised for our students in need, including clothing and food drives. We've donated to the Student of the Month every single month since I've been here. We bought supplies and decorations for our classroom to make it a welcoming environment. Clearly, we are committed to this community, to Hanover, and certainly not lazy. It's short-sighted to say that we're the problem. But we are in the classrooms, we know the problems, and we experience the problems. First and foremost, we must address safety. It's sad that we're talking about this in the wake of the tragic shooting in Texas, but there cannot be a nurturing learning environment if children and staff do not feel safe. We need the board's assistance, we need the administration's intervention. We need clear and concise disciplinary policies. We need the students to know that actions have consequences. It's important for all students to know that they will be protected from outside threats as well as those threats from their peers. Respect is the key. We need the students to understand who's in control. Policies in place must be consistently enforced. We realize that the school environment has changed, and we're willing to change and adapt, but we cannot do this alone. This is what we would like from the board and the administration. Protocols, which include swift and consistent consequences for things like fights with peers, weapons, threats of weapons, drugs and vapes, profanity, and vandalism. We recognize that Hanover has started to move toward these changes. Mr. Barrett has instituted a school climate committee. The committee is open to all the teachers who are interested in participating, and a large number of our teachers have joined. The special ed committee has been put in place, and they're meeting and beginning to make progress. Mr. Barrett and I meet monthly to try to troubleshoot issues. Security has been hired. Although their role needs to be more defined, their presence is appreciated. Mr. Barrett has put an administrative presence in place at Linwood. We see ourselves as part of the solution, not the problem. The teachers are willing and able to meet with this board and the administration to put these policies in place. The association is willing and able to work through the summer to ensure that the 22-23 school year begins with these changes in place. We want a voice in these changes. We want our voice to have an impact. Simply put, we want to help. Again, to be clear, the reason that we are here is that we need swift and consistent consequences for fights, weapons, threats, assaulting teachers, drugs and vapes, profanity, and vandalism. Our work has just begun. We're not done. We're available to meet with this board as early as tomorrow, June 8th, 9th, during the day, June 20th, 21st, 22nd, 24th, anytime. We ask you to pick some of these dates to start this important work. Thank you.
Anyone else?
This is actually not an agenda item. Could you please explain what the therapeutic educational program is, please?
Therapeutic educational program?
Yes.
That would be part of our social services for our students that come in here. Our therapeutic services for students who have been a victim of traumatic events.
Okay.
And also, there are therapeutic services such as physical therapy, occupational therapy. There are a variety of services that we provide to these students.
And the partial hospitalization program, Children's Service Center for
Yeah.
partial.
There are students suffering from emotional disturbances that
Where is that located?
Children's Service Center in Wilkes-Barre.
Oh, so they go there during the day?
There's a variety of services. It can be a daytime service, or they could be a residential service as well.
Okay, and is this in cooperation with parents?
Of course, always.
Okay, I was just curious, thank you.
About 2 months ago, I was here and I asked very clearly about the security issues that were happening. Do you guys have like an answer as to when things are gonna get better? Because since I was here, the vape incident, the seizures, and the stories that I've heard about what's going on in the high school scares me to the point where I'm thinking about pulling my daughter from this school. Because I don't want her to go to 7th grade and lose all the great teachers because there's nothing in place to protect them or to protect our students. I thought that you guys were working on that 2 months ago. When I asked about the security system, you said, yep, you're scanning, you're wanding everybody, you're making sure that everybody is safe. But since then, how many incidents happened? Too many for me to remember. So do you guys have an answer on that? Like when you're gonna take what they have to say into consideration so that our
Who's
students can, well, the union that just spoke. I care about them. They are what's great. They're the ones who are there protecting them when anything happens. Who's responsible when a fight does happen? Do the kids just all go about their day learning normally? What happens to the teachers if they have to come in and help and intervene? Is that okay? Is it okay if the teacher intervenes? Is it okay if two people are fighting over a vape? How did they get the vape in? When you're scanning everybody and is the security thing plugged in all the time? Is it random that people are getting checked? 'Cause
Yes, metal detectors don't pick up vapes, they're
Right.
aluminum.
The wand.
We have to bond everybody individually.
So is that gonna be a thing soon, like tomorrow, the next day, where you're gonna ask each and every one of those people who are there for our kids every day, what they think is needed, just so we could do better, so we could be the old Hanover, so other people don't leave the school? I'm worried about that. I'd appreciate it if you could.
I'll count it. If I can have the microphone, please.
So, you know, as we know, I do a safety report, well, as you guys all know, every year we do an Act 44 report, reports to the board what's going on. So we actually, and what details I can give you, obviously before the incident in Texas, we have a committee put together. There's faculty representation, he should be sharing information with you guys, what we're doing. Have you guys got that information from him yet? Taking note? Okay, so we got to work on communication, not only with us, but you guys to you guys. So we put a committee together where we have plans to ratify what you're doing. If everything goes through, you know, and what I can tell you guys is we're looking at self-contained festivals at every building, check-in, metal detectors, infrared. We're approaching this through a grant which we're working on right now, so we have about 2 weeks to get it submitted. We have community members on the program. There's certain stuff I can't tell you guys what we're doing because of protocols and procedures. But the faculty rep has the information, the board has it, or our community rep. Guys, a metal detector is not going to stop a fight. And if I go to a safety meeting tomorrow, fights, not just through Luzerne County, are crazily on. You know, our job is to stop them. The last situations that we had with violent fights, those kids are no longer here. They're gone. You do not see them. The last couple fights was myself, the rest of the team breaking up, you know, the fights. Those kids, we had 2 kids leaving cuffs. They're not coming back to Hanover area. You know, our job is to make it as safe as possible.
Are the teachers being trained on how to handle those situations?
The teachers weren't involved in any of those
Okay,
situations.
but I'm saying that.
There is training offered. We did training, safety
They
care
have
training.
protection so that if they accidentally grab a kid the wrong way, trying to break up a fight, trying to keep them from, say, knocking my daughter over, do they have the same protection? Like, do they have any kind of protection for them?
What do you mean by protection? Like weapons?
No, say, like, do they have training, like?
There is training offered. So we just had
Are they
training.
all trained so that they know
Not
how to-
everyone is trained. So, but, and again, and teachers will tell you, the last couple of fights, it was a guidance counselor breaking it up. We have law enforcement here. Fights are gonna happen wherever you go. They happen at the Catholic schools, they're gone. There has to be consequences. Our fights are up. It's gonna be educating kids.
Are the consequences, like, outlined definitely?
They're gone. Mr. Barrett can address. Those kids with serious fights are no longer here. Drugs are no longer here. They're getting, we're not gonna tolerate it. It's not gonna happen.
I know, I'm just nervous about.
Again, I'm a parent of a young child like yourself. It's a different world, and we're doing everything to keep the intruders out right now, keeping the bad people in, protocols to get law enforcement here. When we went to school, there was not, did anybody go to school where they had a firearm? You didn't. We're in a different world. And I think the teachers agree, the last 2 years changed the kids. And being out of school hurts. And we have a plan to come back, and when we start in September, we're gonna hammer things out. And we're talking already, no book bags, changes in dress codes. That stuff's coming. Cell phones is another problem. And we're gonna get back control of the school. I mean, the last 3 months, I was in cafeteria duty with 2 other admin the whole time. You know, there was no teachers in there, it was myself and 2 other people in guidance. And we had to reestablish things. And those kids that aren't gonna cooperate, they're not gonna be here. And like, I'm in the trenches with every one of these teachers here. And I'm not gonna tolerate, and these guys aren't gonna tolerate. And I'm gonna say this now, we can't have a division. It can't be the union, the admin, the board. If we're gonna change and get this culture back to where it's gonna be, it's gonna be everybody working together. I think everybody can agree on that. It was a tough year. I mean, it was a super tough year on everybody. Okay?
Mike, that's why we are here.
And again, I hope, like, I support you guys. I listened to you guys. You guys came to me. I sat in a meeting on February 14th, and you ask for things, security, procedures, having an admin. So I was going down to Linwood. Then I got pulled back to the cafeteria every day. We're in this together, and I tell you, we had a meeting last Friday. It's a joint with our township manager, our chief of police. We have a security expert who designed the like he knows his stuff and what we have. We've had 15 to 20 vendors in showing us stuff the last couple of weeks, looking at cameras, and I noticed teachers were nervous while we were there. We have to get this stuff done so we can make changes. And it's not going to be easy. We need stuff. I'm always available. You guys asked for the Raptor. It's back at the high school. We have a monitor at the door at the high school all summer. Our plans have 5 monitors at each building containing festivals. I mean, when you buzz in, you're going through the metal detector. You can't go in until you're buzzed again. Mass communication, our intercom systems you guys asked for. All that stuff you asked for, and talk to Mr. Rinkevich. He's our rep. And I know he was Friday to get to, but he has the information to share with you guys. And we're going to do this. I'm not mad, getting defensive, and I agree, it has to be done together.
Mike, can I just say, one of the things we're concerned about is being supported when we have to make a judgment call about getting a cell phone, about stopping a student from going someplace.
And,
We are trying our best. We're following the rules, but we are not supported.
I agree, there's things we have to fix. We looked at, obviously you guys see our biggest issue happens, and I'm not calling out, but when we have large groups in the auditorium, when we have mass call-offs, those are the days we have our biggest fights. So we gotta get out of this room, back in the classroom, we gotta get the kids out of the hallway with passes, and we're gonna do that. We made small adjustments by bringing a security guard and a bathroom monitor up here to stop the things. But then we get vulnerable. We need more people, staff, and they notice. We talk. I don't think anybody argued what we want to do. We have a plan in place. Now we're going for the funding, and we're going to try to make this happen.
In closing, I just want to ease some minds here this evening and let you know the seriousness. First of all, I want to thank union leadership for our open dialogue on a monthly basis. The concerns were brought to us on Valentine's Day. I'll let you know that there was 5 separate categories of concern by your union body. 3 of them had recommendations. The bare bones minimum of each of those 3 areas with recommendations was 70% complete by your exodus yesterday. One was 75% and one was 90% complete. So those 3 categories, we're going to continue to build off those. I'll close in that distance of the 70%, get to 100%. Off of that, we're continuing to build safety protocols in place. You're absolutely right. Are there subjective areas that still leave you vulnerable? And we are focused on that, I can assure you that. We will close those gaps. But the seriousness of your safety to this board, I want to let you know this evening that they have agreed to take on a consultant this evening that if anybody watched Good Morning America last week, it showed the safest school in America in Indiana. That man has been in every one of your schools that designed that school. This board said, get him. Go out and get him, do what you need to do to make these buildings airtight. So he's here now. Big, tall man, Mason Woolridge, maybe some of you have met him. That's the seriousness of these people sitting up here, including myself and Mr. McCray. So from an infrastructure standpoint, we're gonna make this the best place to possibly work and be educated from a student and a staff standpoint. I promise you that I have taken this so seriously from the meeting on Valentine's Day, which was a very nice gift, by the way. Thank you for the Valentine's gift. Thank you. But we will continue to build on this open dialogue. Any concerns that you have, I want brought to me on a monthly basis, myself, Mr. McCray, and the central administrators with these school climate committees. How you feel when you're coming to work is going to shine through to the kids. So if you're miserable coming here because you hate being here, because the way you feel, that's gonna come across to the kids. So I want this coming back in the form of a dialogue as to what your building is feeling and bringing to central administrators. So school-wide positive behavior that we're trying to implement to reduce and teach kids etiquette rather than being punitive and punishing them for things that they may not even know. We assume people know things, and we see it's a different generation in a hurry. We learned that when we came back this year.
Can the public hear about the surveys that were taken so that we can get a better understanding of what the teachers go through on a regular basis? So we could address our own kids too, to help make their lives a little bit easier?
And I don't have access to this. If you're talking about the teacher survey,
Yeah,
I sent out a survey
what-
myself.
I was
Excuse me one
curious
second.
about hers.
Okay, I'm talking about the survey that I sent out as a central administrator to the staff. I asked their top 3 concerns, what did they spend most of their time on? I sent that out nearly 2 weeks ago. So my focal point is looking through their eyes.
Was it after
What-
they sent the survey? Like this?
This was 2
survey
weeks
she was
ago,
talking about?
within 2 weeks ago, I said. So, what I'm trying to do is at the culmination of the school year, what was the most time spent on taking away from building the best instruction to our kids? So that is my focus, as to eliminate those things, create policy, create procedure to make their lives easier.
Make sure we have the best teachers, that we don't lose any, and that we can keep going forward and.
Make
have
their
the whole
jobs
can
more
work.
efficient, so I can take the burden off them by creating policy and procedure. It was my purpose.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want, first of all, I want to thank the board and the administration. And I love the idea of the climate committees, and I think that they're going to be successful. But I just want to make sure that my members understand that that's going to require a dialogue. I want them to feel safe. If they have something that maybe they are afraid to say, or not afraid, but hesitant to say, that maybe they think it's too negative, or maybe they don't think, you know, and I know that's not your intent. I know your intent is, if these committees are gonna work, everybody's gotta be upfront and honest, everybody's gotta give the information that they have. So I just want you to tell them that this is a safe area. This is where these ideas should come out. This is where these concerns need to be heard and addressed. And that is a safe communication space for them. So that when someone comes and says, this fight happened, this is how I felt, what should I have done? They feel secure in that.
And what I want to do is meet with every committee and roll out our protocol and purpose, so that they understand it encompasses safety, it encompasses materials, supplies, things of that nature. It's everything, 360 degrees around them in these faculty members, so that they feel supported, that they feel safe, and they get what they need.
But even in the confines of the committee, sometimes it's difficult for an employee to tell an employer what the problem is. So that's what I'm saying. I want them to feel safe in that dialogue.
And I hope that since last August, when we were meeting, we have created very open dialogue, so maybe you can knock down that barrier too.
I try. I want them to know that you're telling them, please be open, please be honest. That's why these committees are set up, because we want to hear what the problems are. Is that correct?
That is accurate.
Okay,
Thank you.
Communication is going to be the key.
absolutely.
And I can share with you that some of your body had reached out to me a couple of weeks ago over a concern, a very legitimate concern, and wanting some input. And there was a fear of retaliation. And it wasn't necessarily from the superintendent, but others. And Nathan could tell you, within 30 seconds, we were on the phone, and he rectified that situation. But I come from the communications business. This is only going to be fixed if there's an open and honest dialogue between all of us.
Can I ask them why, when we sent this survey out to every single board member, with my name and number on it, was I not contacted contacted by at least one of you. We're asking to meet and have a dialogue. Why did not one board member reach out to us and say, hey, what's happening, can we get together?
Are you asking me that?
I'm asking the school board that question, honestly.
Anyone want to answer?
Good. Am I not a person you want to hear from? Because I can answer that.
I actually wanted an answer from the school board, but you certainly can
Fair
if you'd
enough.
like to.
Can I
If
go
you can
first?
clarify that.
May I go first?
That's okay with me,
Nathan's the
Mr. Barrett.
superintendent of schools, and we believed it was incumbent, since it went to him, we were getting copies of the presentation made to him, that he was ultimately responsible for making the open dialogue and the rebuttals to that proposal. So from my standpoint, as being one vote on this board, he's the CEO of the school district working directly with the union body. So speaking for myself, and I'm sure my colleagues feel the same way, he responded in time for us. Is that fair?
So if I could step in that night that we had the Zoom meeting, you recall? That night, if you recall, you and Virginia had left the meeting. At that evening, I was directed to continue to move forward with the mission.
I asked at that meeting also to have some meetings with our members. I just think the school board needs to hear the opinion of our members. Nothing against you, Mr. Barrett, but you're one person and one voice. And I believe that you may need to listen to what's happening in our schools from our perspective. Because again, he is our boss and it is very difficult.
I come from the communications business, and I can tell you, some of the people in this audience, they don't have a problem picking up the phone and calling me. And I love it. But again, Terry, that's the only way we're gonna fix this darn thing. And have an open dialogue, make sure we don't have misunderstandings like that.
So, wait a minute, you just said that you have open, it's important, communication. She just said that she tried to have communication with every one of you on the board, and all I'm hearing is.
Let me correct you, Ms. Gavage. She, in my interpretation, gave us copies of the report that was submitted to Mr. Barrett, the superintendent, and we consider the CEO here. We received copies of that. He was responding, at least in my opinion, for the board, taking corrective action where he saw fit, and communicating back as to where we are in certain issues. So.
You're all a team.
Of course. So I'm not
you
sure what your point is.
want
Tell me what your point is.
I feel like all of you should be listening to whatever they tried to meet with you about, instead of taking just
Well,
one
they
person's
didn't meet with
word
the
for
board,
it.
Sarah. They met with Mrs. Barrett, and we got copies of that presentation. So we are copied on the presentation. Mr. Barrett responded to those. That was the marching orders that we had.
You guys can make the marching orders. Mr. Barrett works for you guys.
And I said that during a meeting, online meeting,
But other times.
I was given marching orders.
You've done the same thing with me before though, where I've come, I've voiced my opinions or concerns, and you say next month, or meet me aside. So maybe it needs to be a more open speaking point. Why can't you just air like whatever issues you have in front of each other, like this big group? If I left right now and all of the public left, if that made you guys feel more comfortable, if everyone in this room got to talk to you guys just like you're talking with us right now, maybe then we'd get farther, because right now it just feels like, okay, they're gonna tell the union president what their concerns are, she's gonna voice her opinion, and then it's gonna be kind of, no offense, but with everything being so busy and chaotic, I feel like you're gonna forget about certain things before the next school year begins. So why?
That's your opinion, right?
Right, I'm just trying to help with the communication part of it. I respect everybody at this school.
Anyone
I
who
respect the
speaks to
board.
me, Sarah, they hear from me. I want people to come to the meetings. I
Yeah,
want
that's-
the community here. I want to see this room filled. That's important. That's the only way we're gonna fix things and not have any misunderstandings, in my opinion.
Sarah, you done?
Yep.
Good evening, my name is Michelle Zapatowski. I live in Hanover Township. I stand before you today as a concerned resident and former employee, one of several who left many years before a typical retirement age. What we are all sitting here with the knowledge of is this is not a healthy and safe environment for our students or teachers. As a former employee of 16 years who loves their job, I can attest to the levels of toxicity many people within the environment are feeling. Why are so many teachers and students leaving Hanover as soon as they have opportunities to go elsewhere? One side wants to blame the teachers, and one side wants to blame the board and administration, neither of which is true. I have witnessed firsthand the level of care and concern Mr. Barrett has for our school community. I have seen him get emotional over situations that happen to our students. I know that he cares, and although they are not the most consistent and forthcoming group at times, I know that our board does not invest all of this time and energy into our schools without truly caring about our schools. Let's talk about our teachers. We have the privilege of having the most amazing and wonderful group of teachers in our schools. They are incredible people. For instance, one of our faculty members anonymously donated their entire stimulus check to a family in need. I cannot begin to describe the amount of joy I experienced being able to hand this check over to an emotional single mom explaining how desperate she was for a break. Both sides care as much as one could about this school. I believe it is possible to come together in a way that shows that. The board and administration need to stop viewing the faculty as being in opposition of them, and the teachers will be able to let go of the level of distrust they currently have for their employer. These teachers don't want to leave, they don't want to be angry. They are scared and they do not feel safe. They have a right to come to work every day and do what they do best. Board and administration, please listen to them. Please be vulnerable to them. Let them be a part of the solution, and I swear to you, you will be amazed at the lengths they will go to in order to help school climate. I love Hanover area, and I will always be rooting for this school. I graduated from here, I interned here, I worked here, and I met my husband here. I wish nothing but this school to be safe, healthy, and thriving. Thank you for your time.
Michelle, when you brought up about the people that have left, they left on their own. Some went and bettered themselves. Some went for medical reasons. Board didn't fire anybody, right?
John, this is an opportunity to open up this conversation.
Well, no, I just want to, I mean, the way I took it, that the board made these people leave.
And I get what you're saying. You
Well,
know,
then-
maybe that is the case,
well,
but
then
I
let
don't
me
know
talk.
that- I don't know that that's a benefit to the conversation, it's just getting started.
I'm not trying to grandstand or nothing.
We're all here for
I
you.
just
I think everybody should just take
want.
this conversation that started and.
Well, first of
take
all,
it
I'm
not
talking
for
to her.
granted. This is something that I haven't seen yet. I think that you should really take advantage of the fact that both sides, Michelle used the word vulnerable, both sides are vulnerable right now, and it's so important. You know, I do a lot of different things, but as a father, the hardest thing I've ever done is had to admit to my child that I did something wrong. And I think both sides can do that, and our kids can all benefit from it. So I would love to see it just keep moving in that direction. And I'm not faulting you, John. I'm just saying, it's an opportunity to keep moving in the direction together instead of still meeting at that spot.
I actually have some like, you did, say that you informed all teachers about the current environment for the students involved in any kind of form.
Is this to me? I can't tell.
Could you stand up, please?
Okay, I'll stand up. I was just curious if the kids were
And my survey was to the staff. This was a focus for me to get better for the environment for the professional staff.
Can we address the kids?
Did I send a survey to the kids? The answer is no.
Can we?
We could send a survey to the
kids
families.
were in the climate survey, correct, Mr. McHale?
The climate survey was sent out.
We did another
Mr.
survey
McHale's
with
here.
all the kids as well, so all that data is going to everything we're doing for safety purposes.
All the children down to third grade and up.
That are afraid to go to school. Scared. Every day. And they should be consulted.
Anyone else? Future meeting, August work session to be announced, and the regular meeting in August will be announced. A motion to adjourn? Oh, August 15th.
Monday. It's Monday.
That's on a Monday. A motion to adjourn? Motion by Mrs. White,
Second.
second by Paul Holmgren, all in favor?
Aye.